This is the Making Waves Mindset Show with your hosts, Richard Biase
and Dave Moskowitz. Learn from our journey as we share the ups and downs
of being your own boss.
All right, welcome everyone to the Making Waves Mindset Show.
Welcome. Again, we are back.
We are back. We hope you have been kicking butt in the entrepreneurial space and you are continuing to dream bigger, make waves, and take action in life. Because otherwise, you're going to be in the 9 to 5 and you're going to only have to blame yourself. So.
That's right. Just remember, subscribe to our show. Click that little button at the bottom. If you are following us on Instagram and linked us to our podcast, please share. And as I always say, if you don't like it, share it with someone who will.
Yeah. That's right. There's nothing wrong with that. We love it. And continue the comments, the ratings, the feedback. We appreciate all of you reaching out and supporting our community and being a part of our tribe. So, Dave, take it away. We have somebody incredible with us, a very exciting conversation ahead, and we are very happy to have this person here today.
Yes, we had some feedback in our show where our listeners wanted to hear something about the crypto world and finances in that. So I reached out through my many peoples and fell upon a fellow friend that was able to direct me into the right connection. And we have Simone, Maman, here. And I won't take anything away from her thunder and let her introduce herself.
Amazing. Hello, good morning.
Morning, thank you.
Good morning. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
So you do know a little bit about me, but I guess your guests or your viewers rather don't. So yes. I'll say hello to all of them. Good morning to everybody out in the Making Wave space. My name's Simone, Maman. I am local to Toronto for now. 43 years old, mom of 5. And I do a lot of things, one of which is I very actively participate in the crypto space, both as an investor, a trader, but also actually as an educator. So I work with a group of individuals within my network. We actually trade and invest together every single day. Wow. I mentor them through networking actually, and really just sharing the opportunities that exist within the crypto space. Wow. And additionally, I actually do some work right now for one of our favorite Canadian crypto brokerages, crypto platforms. It's called BitBuy. And so if you head over to their Instagram, then you'll probably see my face too.
Amazing. We will link them for sure.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes. So tell us, Simone, who are you? Where are you from? How did you get into this world of crypto? You know, what's your background? And, you know, let our listeners know how to get into the world of Simone.
Yeah, sure. Well, this is everybody's world right now, whether, you know, we realize it or not, or are willing to admit to it or not. You know, everything metaverse, everything digitized, everything Web3, crypto, NFTs, it's here to stay, and it's only going to become, you know, progressively more important to the way that we interact. I know a lot of people see a lot of this kind of like digital interaction, digital transactioning as something that separates us, but I hope we'll have an opportunity to discuss the most amazing ways in which it actually really does bring us together. I think the crypto really is all about transparency and connectivity. My background has absolutely nothing to do with crypto, though.
Love it.
And honestly, for what it's worth, I think that most people who are really passionate about the space will tell you that their background has nothing to do with crypto. In fact, it might not even have anything to do with finance, because whereas, you know, we've got Forex and equities and all these other really cool market spaces that existed well before our time, what we're seeing right now with crypto and with NFTs, like this is actually a market that was created literally now within our lifetime, within our generation. So it's literally new to everyone. So I just want to preface that, because if anybody's out there thinking like, oh my God, it's too late, I didn't get an education in this, I don't know what's going on, like same. None of us did. So we're just kind of, you know, we're going with the flow. Okay. But yeah, for me, my background is actually, it's bifold in the sort of health and wellness space. So my formal education is in clinical nutrition, specifically orthomolecular nutrition, and additionally in eating psychology. So not so much what people are eating, why they're eating it.
Nice.
So eating away at them, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of like the heartbeat of the work that I do. On a personal note, I also competed as a bodybuilder in the bikini division for Canada, and I'm heading back to the stage this year on October 1st. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's really exciting. It's actually really special too, because my grandfather, who is like iconic in my eyes and in my heart,
Of course.
he was a champion weightlifter in
way.
Russia, where half of my family is from, and that's his birthday. So hopefully I will be able to get into absolute ceremony. And
so special. That's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
I want to highlight something in 2 seconds, just to give motivation, because we talk about mindset a lot.
Yes.
I want to highlight something. You're going back into the field of bodybuilding.
I am.
You were in the field of bodybuilding.
Yes.
And you're
Mama five.
Mother of 5.
You know,
where do you find the time?
So listen, let's start by saying that there is no expiration date on this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's no expiration date on this.
You're getting younger every day.
You know what the thing is, that I'm getting more
Mindset.
efficient. I'm getting more efficient every single day.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Much more efficient every single day. And this is the interesting tie-in between the health and fitness space and finance, right? Like, I think about financial health and the things that we need to do every single day, not just to ensure that we are earning, but that we are actually making our money work for us, right?
Yes.
So that we can kind of leverage what we're earning to actually create freedom, which I think ultimately is the goal, right? Freedom to be able to move around, freedom of mobility, freedom of choice, freedom of, what kind of education system do you want for your kids, freedom of everything, right? Like, without financial freedom, you really don't have access to all of those other freedoms, and in health, it really is the exact same thing. Like, what are the things that we can do every single day? What are those bite-sized pieces that we can really dig into every single day to cumulatively, compound and eventually create sustainable health? So to me, the two fields are actually very much the same. So as far as like, how do you do it at 43 with 5 kids, to get back on stage? Well, the reality is I'm not focused on stage day, right?
Yes.
I've thought about that woman and who she needs to be on that day, and then try to reverse engineer what are the things that, like, if I would have asked her, if I asked myself on October 1st, okay, babe, what did you do to get here? How did you do this, right? Because you got 5 kids in tow, you've got several businesses, you do a whole bunch of like social media stuff, like how? And so that's the thing. It's like, let's have that conversation with the person that we intend to be, right? Let's figure out what their formula was, right, and start actually putting it into place today. So what does it mean? It means that, for me personally, instead of just eating my regular meals, I eat in a strategic way. In the same way that I'm not just going to save money, I'm going to save it in a strategic way, right? How am I going to invest my calories every single day? Right. Well, how am I going to invest my money every single day? Right. So I'm not thinking about the get rich quick or the get skinny quick or the get strong quick. I'm thinking about what can I do incrementally in a sustainable way to get to where I want to go, whether that be in health and fitness or whether that be in financial fitness. Right.
It's that 1% every day that will bring you towards that goal. And you've highlighted something that Dave and I address almost on every episode. Our education system is not driven towards knowledge when it comes to financial wealth and literacy, nor does our education system in school, for sure Canada and the US, teach anything about health, diet, and wellness. We don't do that. And highlighting these things together and the Making Waves Mindset Show and seeing that you are a product of your own actions shows that people are doing it, and our listeners and followers can continue to do it.
Absolutely.
They can do it.
People are doing incredible things. And, we were talking and I described myself as a multi-passionate entrepreneur. Yes. And, people think, well, how do you spread yourself so thin? And the reality is that I don't. Like, everything that I pour into pours into me. Like, I'm doing things in my life that I am so incredibly excited about. And so, being able to plug into my training, being able to plug into this really disciplined way of fueling my body, being able to plug into focused time where I sit down with my team and we trade and we invest and we learn and we grow as a team, like, all of that is energizing. It's not depleting. And I think that's really the key. Like, when you're trying to figure out, okay, like, what am I going to pivot to? What are my next steps, right? I'm sick and tired of the 9 to 5. Like, now what? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you love? Yeah. What excites you? Like, that's the best place to start. Mm-hmm. The best place to start.
Mm-hmm. We've spoken about vision boards. Mm-hmm. Trying to find those goals, trying to find those things to excite you every day. So, we were joking about Costa Rica. That's my happy place. I've been, Dave's been. So it's like, why are people settling for Toronto? I'm going to work 35 years, hope there's a pension at the end of it. Set your goals high. So every day, you know how to take that 1%, success to get you to that 100% goal at the end. And next thing you know, you're going to be in that happy place. And it might be easier for people to break things down into smaller segments to get there. But it's amazing that you're highlighting these things right off the bat in our show. It's
I just don't think that there's a way to achieve success. Listen, I guess there are many paths towards the same goal, but if you ask people across the board who are truly, fulfilled and really have deep faith that they are going to get to where it is that they intend to go, they're going to tell you that it really is about breaking it down into incremental steps, right? Like if you bite off more than you can chew, the reality is that you're not going to be able to swallow it, right? So I always say, like with my nutrition clients, that whatever methods we're going to use to achieve the goal have to be the same methods that we're going to use to sustain it, to sustain the results, right? And so the way that, I approach crypto and NFTs and just investing in general is exactly that, right? Like it wouldn't make sense for me to, go all in and risk more than I'm willing to lose, because the reality is that it's going to pull me out of the game a heck of a lot faster.
Right. Awesome. Well, let's get into this crypto world. What is crypto, first of all?
Yeah, what is crypto? It? What, people want to know.
What is crypto? Right?
What is this? Imagine
than the usual question, which is what are all these apes? What are all these apes that are We'll talk about that too, because it's a big part of it. Sure. So what is crypto? Cryptocurrency is essentially, think about the root of the word crypto being encrypted, and it is exactly that. It's an encrypted, digitized currency that we are all able to access. It is not tethered to any specific government or issuing body. So, the way that, certain countries have their Federal Reserve that prints their fiat, which is our cash or paper and coins. Crypto is not that. It is not actually tethered or anchored to any specific government. So it is really the currency of the people. And, as a result, some people would say that it is unregulated, or it can't be regulated. And obviously we've been hearing a lot in the news about, different governments trying to get involved and see how they can actually regulate our usage of, our participation in that market, how it can be taxed. But, at the most basic foundational level, crypto is a digital currency that is not backed by, not tethered to any government, and is really, I think, pushed by our faith in it.
Right.
That's unique. It's really, really unique.
How do you, truthfully, to personally tell you, when crypto started coming out, Bitcoin, and I ended up hearing about it probably, let's just say 5 years ago, when it started becoming a little more mainstream, I was so skeptical of it, because to me, it was like, this unknown, untangible, can't touch it, can't hold it. I'm very old school. I still carry cash with me everywhere I go. I have to have, at least $100 in my wallet. It's in my head. My grandfather installed it into me to always have cash on me. It will never leave me. I always want cash. I want something tangible. When this came out, I was like, I can't get in behind it because I can't understand it. So how do you understand it? How do you put faith and trust into something that you can never see, like go to the bank and take out money?
Well, there's a lot of things that we can't see, the biggest of all being God, and I have very, very deep faith. Yeah. So, it's more, like how do we experience it? And that's the whole thing, is that crypto leaves a trail, it leaves residue. So the fact is, the number one trail obviously would be the digital trail on the blockchain. Every single transaction is actually recorded on this blockchain. So, what is the blockchain? Is literally that. It's a bunch of, think of it as a bunch of blocks of lists of transactions all linked together. And the cool thing is that, when we transact digitally, which we do all the time anyways, right?
Yes, right.
When you're tapping your debit card, you know that it exists, right? You know that it exists. It debits from your account. And so when you transact in Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever your crypto of choice is, it debits from your wallet. It works exactly the same way. But it leaves a residue, because you end up with, products or services, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just, think of it as literally like another currency. So if you were, for instance, to go to, I don't know, to Mexico, or when you fly, from Toronto to somewhere in Costa Rica, you go to the little foreign exchange booth, right? And you exchange your currency. You could then go and, you exchange your currency. You don't actually have to use paper money to do that, right? You could do that with your debit card or with your credit card. And so you never see it. It's digital.
Yeah.
It's digital. The only difference is that one is issued by a government, and the other one isn't. The other one is that these are projects that are created by people.
Right.
The other thing is that when we have a record of a transaction, we have it really in just one place. Whereas with crypto, it exists on tons of computers all across the world. And that's where the whole transparency piece comes in, right? It's not one place where, something can be fudged, where something can be edited or adjusted. You couldn't possibly go and edit, adjust on all of these computers, on all of these systems all across the world. And that's where the security piece comes in too.
Right.
So how do you have faith in it? Well, I think when you see the kind of traction that it's had and you understand the real world applications of crypto and blockchain, it's impossible to deny.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, because not only is it more regulated in terms of the amount of eyes that get to see the transactions, but it's actually impossible to corrupt.
It is. And so, if you are behind transparency, if you are behind security, then you should probably be behind crypto too.
Right.
Hence why many governments around the world are panicking, because they can't control it. They will then be held accountable for their spending and what goes on behind the scenes, without getting into politics. But I think that's the part that is not being communicated in the space, is that this digital currency has this type of transparency that is not seen in any other type of paper currency. That's
correct. And so, when you're talking about that transparency even within government spending, and that really takes us back to the underpinning of the cryptocurrency market, which is the blockchain. And the blockchain is applicable to so many industries, far more than just crypto. And we're already seeing that happen. With blockchain, we're able to trace our food from farm to table, right? It's like, okay, we get it. It came from a farm, it got to our table, but how? How long did it take? What was the transit time? Where were the stops? Which farm specifically did it come from? Was there any contamination along the way? That's information that could be available on the blockchain. Right, so that helps us with our personal health, the way that we operate within our families. Blockchain for industry, supply chain issues. Like we hear these buzz terms like, oh, there's shortages or supply chain issues. Well, what does that actually mean? Where's the product, right? Like where did the interruption happen? Think about like smart contracts and pricing, fair business practices and engagement. All of that can actually be resolved by blockchain. Think about voting and voter fraud, right? Like we love the concept of being able to vote online because we do everything online at this point, but we're worried about,
the integrity of elections.
Yeah.
Correct. And something like blockchain would actually really enable us to continue to participate in these practices online without actually without having to worry about whether or not our vote is actually counting. So it has, so many different applications, and absolutely governments are getting involved because, there's always that element of control. And so when you're actually transacting now peer to peer without needing an intermediary, right? Without needing to ask the bank's permission, without needing to ask the government's permission, well, that takes, the ball and kicks it back into our court. And, like I said to you, I think ultimately the most important thing is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And we've addressed on our show, banks are just businesses. Everyone sees them as friends where we store money. I said, they're using your money that's being stored there to profit for themselves, where now here's an opportunity where it kicks back to you to have full control of where that money is. And Simone, it sounds like there's two things. It sounds like you have blockchain, which is the security and accountability and transparency method of how the money moves from A to B, but then there's also the digital currency. Am I correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah. So that's why I said that blockchain is really the underpinning of the cryptocurrency industry.
Okay.
And it seems like it may very well become the underpinning of many industries, of most industries, right? But with cryptocurrency specifically, obviously, I get it. There's a lot of different coins. There's a lot of different tokens. Everybody knows about Bitcoin, and that's sort of, the gold standard. Wish we could bring that back. Right?
That's right. Nixon got rid of that.
Right?
In the 70s.
So listen, I don't know that there was any ill intent. There were pros and cons. We can talk about that. But Bitcoin really is that gold standard, and it is, it's the sort of the godfather of crypto. But in addition to Bitcoin, we've got thousands, literally it's like, upwards of like 8,000 different, what we call altcoins or alternative coins. And
oh, really?
Some of them have a good scaffolding, and many of them don't. And so I get that it can be scary because we hear a lot of different, coins and tokens and terms floating around. It's like, well, what does it mean? What do I get into? And so I think at that point, what really matters is understanding what your goal is, right? Definitely acquiring some sort of proficiency when it comes to the market space, and having an actual plan, having a financial plan, understanding, what sort of risks are involved, and then taking, the appropriate steps to actually manage your risks. And it can be scary because it is unknown, but I'll tell you what I find to be a heck of a lot scarier is the idea of depositing my money into a bank earning maybe 1% on it, while inflation is going up to 8, 15, maybe 20. It's funny because the government tells us that it's, like, let's say 8%.
Right.
If
Probably
you,
like 15.
If you have been to the gas station lately, if you have been to the grocery store lately, if you have had to buy your kid a pair of shoes lately, if you have gone anywhere to do literally anything, I'm sure you would agree that inflation is not 8%. But even if it were, the margin of difference between what we're earning in our savings accounts, right, and what we're actually, and how our money is depreciating, thanks to inflation, that to me is far scarier and far riskier than actually taking the time to learn about this incredible opportunity that is crypto.
Right.
See, and I think there's something important there too. We've talked about inflation briefly on the show before, because when I look at that return on value, I like to invest in real estate, and I have the greater return than the bank at their 1% GIC nonsense. But I think there's a lack of understanding amongst most Canadians and many around the world about, well, what happens when inflation's there? If you're talking about your union contract and you're up for a 2%, you're thinking, wow, we got 2%. But if inflation is 8, 9, 10%, you're making less than you were before. It doesn't matter what your 2% is.
That's right.
People don't understand that. They think they're getting ahead. They think the money's safe in the bank. And David on our last episode said, if all three of us right now went to the bank and asked for $10,000, they'd panic because they don't even have it to give to you. So
That's
imagine now on this larger scale with inflation and what's taking place. Is your money really being used wisely? Is it really safely there? Or do you want to maybe look at this digital system where the people are in control, the blockchain's protecting it, and it's not tethered into what's taking place behind the scenes?
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing with the banking system is, listen, we've got insurance on our accounts. I mean, not even anymore, but historically, up to $60,000 on each Canadian account. That was, I think that's an antiquated protection. I don't think that's in place anymore. But the issue is that it's saving our money, right? Like when I talk to people about crypto, I will say to them, a penny saved is not a penny earned. Like that doesn't exist anymore, right? And that used to be exactly what we were taught, right? It's like you go to school, you figure out what you're good at, not what you like.
It's true.
What you got good grades in. What you got good grades.
Some more. You get to go to school some more, and you get a piece of paper that says that you know enough to be able to now, start at the bottom of the totem pole, and you go and you work and you work and you work, and you take all that money and you stick it in the bank, and therefore a penny saved is a penny earned, right? Yeah. But it's not actually the case, because there's a depreciative component to savings. And so the question is, even if you don't want to get into crypto, maybe you want to look at some other investable assets like real estate, like, precious metals, like seeds. Like these are all absolutely tremendous investable assets. And I think it's important to have, diversity in your portfolio.
Yeah. You
have to understand that those are things that can make money for you, even aside from crypto. And it's really creating those additional and multiple revenue streams that is going to be the only thing that you can do really to overwhelm the impact of inflation. And so for me, crypto has been the most exciting one to get into. And I'll tell you why. Real estate, you definitely need a certain amount of money to be able to begin to to invest in a really impactful way. I mean, I think that's, suffice to say. With crypto, you can get in right now. Literally, I hate to be like that commercial, where you're saving for the The reality is that yes, you actually can, because it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. I mean, I know that it's in we're definitely in a bearish market right now, but that's across all coins. And there are other, things that we can invest in the crypto space. And you can absolutely buy in, you can buy fractional shares in crypto in the same way that you can do that, with your stocks and whatever else. Crypto, unlike the workforce, has absolutely no bias. It does not care who you are, where you're from, what your education level is, what is your gender, what is your age. Does not care. So if you have a little bit to invest and you can put it into the right place with the correct strategy, and there's some great places where you can pick up some great strategies, and we can talk about that. There's definitely money to be made. And so I think, we talked about education. Obviously, the curriculum that our government is putting out is never going to be in favor, my opinion, is never going to be in favor of us being able to sustain ourselves and create additional financial freedom and security. So, we do have to go outside of the regular sort of academic space and our regular academic means to acquire this information. And, the way that I started is I went onto YouTube, which is I think what most people do. The issue there, however, is that if you think about any kind of curriculum, whether it's just our regular public school system, or even if I was to put out a course on, I don't know, macronutrients,
right?
The curriculum is disseminated in a way, like it's structured in a way where each lesson builds upon the one prior.
Right.
When you go onto YouTube, you could be starting at lesson 57,
right,
and then heading back to lesson 3, and it can really take a while. Number one, until you find somebody who is verified and vetted, right? Because you want to make sure, obviously, that the information that you're getting is safe to use, is safe to apply. Right? Because it's a pretty expensive mistake to follow the wrong kind of influencer.
Yes.
But you also want to make sure that you're following some sort of curriculum in like a really structured way. And like I said, on YouTube, that can be really, really difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally got involved with a platform where all of this information, actually across all markets, so Forex, equities, binary, everything, it's all there. We have an actual curriculum that before you even start investing, before you even start trading, you take the time to go through this. And it's kind of taught in layman terms. There isn't a lot of fluff. It's not a 4-year degree. It's really, go at your own pace kind of thing. And I love it. I love it because it makes me feel like I actually can participate in this, right? We don't listen. The fact is we don't have anybody graduating, from crypto university. That's not a thing, right? Because the market is moving so fast, and anything that could be written into actual curriculum in the books would be well, it would be a reflective, right? It would be a historical reflective because the game does move that quickly. So, I think that you definitely want to find a reliable source of information, and definitely one that is going to be able to introduce you to the market in a structured way. Because like I said, starting at lesson 57 is going to leave you baffled.
Yeah. So what would be some of your tips to find those people?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know someone's good at crypto just because they have a good talk?
Just because they have a good talk. Yeah. So, I'll be the first to admit that I am not good at crypto. So I actually leverage experts, and we do that all
in every
day
industry.
Right?
Yeah. We do that in every industry. Dave and I always talk about find experts, find mentors, learn from people, right? There's nothing wrong with making mistakes, but make the right mistakes strategically, you have a plan.
Definitely. So like I said, the company that I work with, the platform that I work with is called Biase, and we have an entire curriculum that we're able to go through on our own. We have live learning sessions where we're able to actually trade live with our vetted experts, and these are professionals in the field. And what's cool is that you can ask them questions like, hey, why are you positioning your trade that way? Like, why is your stop loss set there? Why is your take profit set there? And it's great because when do you get to actually do that, right? Like when you go to the bank and you deposit your money, you're like, so hey, which guys can invest in it?
Yeah.
When?
Yeah.
Why? No one's telling you, right? They're like, right. I don't know. Next customer, right? But and then additionally, we also have the opportunity to plug into artificial intelligence. And that to me is like the greatest form of leverage, simply because the emotionality has been taken out of it. So you think about like leveraging experts. This is when I go and get my hair done. I don't know how to cut my own hair. I have actually tried. I was very unsuccessful. It's a shame because the pain of discovering that I am not good at cutting my hair was long-lived, right? Yeah. I had to grow it out. I actually have to cut it all off, but it's another story.
Dave has it easy though. Look how Dave's got it.
I know. Listen, you just shine.
I started the chin, worked to the back of the neck. One swipe up.
I don't have that issue. So you know what I mean? Like if I'm going to get my nails done, like I don't make my own clothing. I go and I purchase clothing that is designed by people who are tremendous when it comes to fashion design and who know how to handle a needle and thread and textiles. We leverage the experts all day long. And for some reason, people are just hell-bent on becoming day traders and doing all this themselves. And the reality is that you don't have to. Like there are great companies out there who offer copy and paste strategies where you'll actually get push notifications to your phone saying, hey, you know what? This is a really great one. It's a great pairing to jump in on right now. And so the sort of footing into that is actually learning how to use the apps, learning how to use the brokerages, learning how to actually literally copy and paste the trade. But you're leveraging the expertise of somebody who's probably been in the industry from the get-go.
Right.
And so, with artificial intelligence, like I said, it takes it that much further simply because the emotionality of investing and trading, and there is a lot of it, even at the most, top tier professional levels, that's removed, right? Artificial intelligence has no feelings about the market. It simply takes in data, right, and adapts, pivots its strategies. Whereas, we unfortunately take in a lot of data and turn it into drama. And so, I think that artificial intelligence is an amazing way to get into crypto. You can use automation whereby, you are sort of the driving force behind the strategies. If you feel proficient enough, you can actually create your own. And if you don't, then you can absolutely just plug into existing strategies and just kind of let the machine work for you. But this is a way to continue to work in your 9 to 5 if you love it, right? And I don't want to shoot down a 9 to 5 because the fact is some people feel really fulfilled by the work that they're doing and they love the structure, and that's amazing. But this is a way to have your money start working for you in the background, create additional streams of income, and just be able to actually do more in life.
Right.
So
go ahead, Richard.
I was going to say, I have two things for you then. I think that there's, people struggle. They get analysis paralysis. So they're hearing you talk about this. They want to do it, but they just don't take action. And that's the premise of the show is you need to make waves in your mindset. You need to take action. And to your analogy, it's $1 a day, like a cup of coffee. Just get started. So to the listeners, do your homework, do your reading, just get started. But I think there's also a side of the listeners where they go, but can I take my Bitcoin money and bring it back to, Canadian, US currency? I think there's this struggle. Or do you transition over to that space and start paying in there? Because I don't think people are relating the two and they want to make money in crypto, but then use it to buy things here. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the right way. We can ask.
So there's so many different things to do. And again, I really want you to think about this as a digital version of our fiat, however, untethered to a government. When you make money, you do lots of different things with it, right?
Yes.
Some of it you invest, some of it you spend. And the exact same thing applies to crypto. So you can absolutely transact peer-to-peer. You can definitely buy things with Bitcoin. In fact, yesterday, my 14-year-old son needed to purchase advertising space for his online business, and the seller wanted to be paid in Bitcoin. So we paid him in Bitcoin. Right? Whereas before you would have sent money through PayPal or you would have sent an e-transfer, which, it was interesting actually because I had him watch this process. And so talk about like transit time and the power of crypto and of blockchain, and things really happen like at lightning speed in a matter of seconds. Whereas, we're transferring money from my checking account into my wallet to be able to, I had to buy Bitcoin for him. And I took him through this entire process, and the holdup, right? It was like, 20 years later. It was like that whole SpongeBob thing. Because we were sitting and waiting for my bank account to actually finally transfer the money over. It's just a regular e-transfer. But I'm sure you've done that before. You send money to a friend. I sent it. They're like, great, I don't see it. I'll let you know when it gets here. Yeah. Right? So you've got to wait. You got to wait. Whereas once the money hit the account, it was within seconds it processed and got fulfilled, right? Wow. So, talk about like efficiency, transit time, like business can move literally at lightning speed. Whereas right now we're really kind of restricted by our conventional systems.
Yes.
But yeah, so, as far as like, can you actually use it to shop? You definitely can. Okay. There are actually real estate projects right now. There's an incredible real estate project called Earth. And they're essentially building a new Earth here on Earth. It's kind of, you can think about it as an Airbnb, I guess to some degree. Everybody's able to actually have ownership of these Web3 optimized homes that already exist all across the world. And the idea is that, if you want to go and live in another one in another country, that's perfectly fine, so long as you make yours available to somebody else. So if you're familiar with the idea of like a kibbutz, it's kind of the same concept where everybody owns everything, although you do actually have exclusive ownership of your specific property. But that can entirely be paid for in Bitcoin. In fact, that's a preferred method of payment. So yes, we can definitely purchase regular things. In addition to that, a lot of these, brokerages and wallets are issuing cards. So in the same way that, we have like an actual debit card or a credit card, there are cards, basically crypto cards that are issued where, for instance, I could go into Starbucks, who doesn't accept Bitcoin yet as a form of payment, right? But I could go into my app that is the hinge for that card, and I can just toggle between payment methods. So for instance, I want the next transaction to come out of my Ethereum holdings. Great, tap. Starbucks is none the wiser, right?
Oh, really?
So I actually just went and used, my crypto to be able to pay for a coffee that everybody is paying for. Actually, last time I was at Starbucks, they actually told me that they didn't have any change on hand. So I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but there's kind of been this like soft shift into we don't accept legal tender anymore.
100%. I've been to 3 or 4 different Starbucks. It's more in the States too, actually. When I was down in California, I would go in, try to pay for cash, and they're like, "Oh, we don't accept cash."
Which is crazy to me.
And I'm like, "You don't accept American funds? What is
right?
this?"
Like actual government issued legal tender, you know?
Yeah.
COVID.
Well, it's because they're scared of COVID, right?
That's
but
right.
that was that. I think.
Just sticking your fingers on my coffee and on the lid that I'm.
Yeah. This was. I think this was
I love
perfect for the government because I think they want to stop making money, and because it costs them to make money. So I think this is their crux into, okay, we'll get large corporations to stop accepting cash, and once we stop accepting cash, then we can control all the money that's going out.
Well, I mean, they have loved printing money. I mean, they've printed the value of our dollar into an absolute oblivion.
Right.
The printing presses in Winnipeg are just going 24/7, or wherever they are now. I don't know.
Use the paper anymore. There are no newspapers anymore. We just print money.
It's plastic. Yeah,
that's right.
But I'm sure you guys, maybe you've talked about this with your guests before, but as this CBDC is coming in, so the push for digital currency is happening even on a government level. But the difference is that, now with the kind of scarcity of cash and even the scarcity in comfort with handling fiat, the government is going to be introducing our CBDC. And for those who don't know, that's a central bank digital currency. So think about it as like government-backed crypto.
Yes.
The difference here is, remember I said to you that crypto has no bias. Doesn't care who you are. Doesn't care what your story is, right?
Yep.
CBDC does. It actually cares very, very much, right? Because it is a programmable currency. So who decides on programmed with what? What are the parameters? What are the boundaries? What are the goals?
And I believe you're seeing that in China, where they're going, "Oh, you ran a red light today, and sorry, you can't go buy this, or you're from this community, you're not allowed to buy avocados." And that is happening. For those who are denying, it's happening right now in China.
It is happening right now. I know people don't want to talk about the social credit system, but it is actually it's happening. It's been happening. Yeah. It's literally even on our Canadian government website. They speak about it quite openly. It's, most people choose to turn a blind eye, but you're absolutely right to say that this is literally the most perfect transition. I mean, it's just like the perfect storm, right? Yeah. You have this pandemic. People are afraid of actually physically touching things that trade hands. All of a sudden, cash is becoming a little bit more scarce. Well, the perfect solution, is digital currency, which we now have grown accustomed to. Yes, through our debit and credit cards, but also through our exposure to the cryptocurrency market. Yeah. Come in and save the day. CBDC. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it gets rolled out, if it's going to be incentivized in some way. I think about gun buybacks.
Yes.
To push people into it. But I think having you on even to talk about this, it's going to, listen, if people don't want to take action, that's fine, but the wheels are turning because, as Dave and I have said, we have been looking at this space more recently. We have done business shifts. We've recently left the 9-to-5. We're always looking at multiple streams of income. And I think that's the biggest failure right now in society, is that people are just relying on, well, I have a 9-to-5, I get a paycheck every 2 weeks. Oh, and there's a pension. But people forget that there's no guarantee you're going to have that pension at the end. There's no level of, it doesn't matter if it's in writing or not. People don't understand that. You need to understand it. So start looking at other streams of income and start investing, looking at these assets. And I think what we're hearing today is that there's a tremendous opportunity to do it, and you can do it with very minimal investment needed.
Well, you can, and here's why. So understand that while, yes, it would be amazing to stockpile a bunch of money and then lump sum it into the crypto market, a lot of us are not in any position to do that. But you can, I talked about it recently on my page. We were talking about dollar cost averaging. And dollar cost averaging is essentially taking, you basically figure out okay, so what's my strategy? I want to invest X number of dollars in the market. I don't have it right now. Let's break that down into bite-sized pieces, right? Just like we do, instead of eating an entire day's worth of calories in one meal, you spread it out over the course of the day. Digest a little bit better, right? And so with dollar cost averaging, we think, what is an actual reasonable daily budget, maybe a weekly budget, maybe a monthly budget, right? So let's say over the, at the end of the week, that you have an extra $100 to spend. Can you reallocate that $100 from, your coffee or whatever it is that you spend it on, and just set the timer every Friday? I put $100 into, whatever coin it is. Maybe there's a couple, you can pick a few favorites, and you commit to that. And over the long run, right, you've actually kind of moved yourself into those higher market cap coins in a comfortable and more sustainable way. So it just has to be, like I said, it's got to be, sustainable. So you don't want to put yourself out, never put in more than, you're willing to lose. And incrementally you build an actual, like a real footing in the market. I get that people are afraid of the volatility. I fully understand that, right? But when you take your chart and you spread it out, what you will see is that it stops looking like this and it really starts looking like this. Right? Bitcoin specifically has completely unhinged from the US dollar. And we have seen days where, they move in different directions. And it's worth taking note of that, because really what that's indicating to us is that it's got a whole kind of life system of its own.
Right.
It's no longer just a reflection of everything that's going on in our regular markets. Like, it is its own machine. It is its own beast. And so if you understand, like I said, the power of blockchain, you understand that we are becoming more and more digital as a society, globally. And then you understand that crypto isn't going anywhere, but it is absolutely going up. So worrying about the day-to-day volatility doesn't really make as much sense, because you're not investing in what is happening today or tomorrow. You're investing in truly the future of how we interact as a society, how we actually transact as a society from here, go forward.
Right.
Hopefully that can take some of the fear out of it. But I would definitely say, absolutely leverage the experts. If you can plug yourself into a system where you've got copy and paste strategies, do that. If you can plug yourself into a system where you're leveraging artificial intelligence that, isn't going to be a baby over the dip, right? And isn't going to get too aggressive just because it's doing really well one day, then hopefully that can provide a little bit of shelter. But definitely just start to understand exactly where society is heading. And I mean, you want to, write yourself out of that story, that's okay. But I think you'll regret it. Right?
Simone,
we all wish we would have gotten it.
Of course, yeah.
Simone, when people put, let's say they want to put $10 into, Bitcoin or Ethereum, when that money's there, is it now becoming a stock market type experience where that $5 or $10 is riding this wave, or is that $5 a true $5? Let's break that down for the followers and listeners.
So the value is ever changing, right? It's like literally, if you watch the charts, if you watch the candles, it's every couple of seconds, it's going up, it's going down. So yes, the only thing that you could purchase that would theoretically hold its value would be what we would call a stable coin. So something like USDT, which is actually tethered to the US dollar. So, for instance, like when I put money into my brokerage, I will buy in at USDT and it just kind of sits there. So I know that I have an actual specific amount, generally predictable. Obviously the volatility of the US dollar, the Canadian dollar is not that of crypto. And so it just sits there until I'm ready to actually purchase something like, let's say Bitcoin. And so yes, if I just kind of set it and forget it, like my Instant Pot, and just let Bitcoin do its thing, definitely from day to day, the value is absolutely going to change. From minute to minute, from second to second, the value is going to change. Now, if you are a day trader, or if you have plugged into, like I said, some sort of system where you're getting copy and paste strategies, and you're able to come in and out of the market in short-term positions, then you'll be able to take advantage of those ups and downs. If you just set it and forget it, then really what you're doing is you're holding until the end and just trusting that despite what happens from day to day, in the long run, it's on an upswing. So that kind of would be the difference, I would say, between investing and trading. And I know those terms are used interchangeably, but they're actually quite different. When you're trading, it really is more of like an active activity, right? And you're kind of having to sit there and really process what is happening, and you're much more reactive to what's going on in the market. I mean, hopefully proactive, but that takes a heck of a lot of strategy and education. Whereas investing really is like putting your money into something that you feel is going to grow, is going to do well for you in the long run, and kind of walking away from it. And so I, personally participate in alpha strategies and beta strategies, and the alpha strategies being higher risk, but those are shorter term. Hopefully higher yield, and the beta strategies being lower risk, but they're much longer holds. And so, like I said, that's my sort of set it and forget it, Instant Pot approach to crypto. And I think we talked about diversification in your portfolio, and I think it's important to have both.
And you spoke about these wallets. Are these digital wallets basically your form of an online banking, but it's your version of tied into the crypto market? And so that's where it all comes in and out of, right?
Yeah, those are interesting terms, right? Because when we think about everything in tangible kind of terminology, right? So my wallet is literally my physical wallet. And so there are two types of wallets online, or rather there are online wallets, and then there are actual like hard wallets. And so we call them, warm and cold. And so your cold wallet would be like if this was an actual device where I would hold basically the keys or the codes to my crypto, this would be a cold wallet. And then the alternative is, of course, to actually host all of that online, which is ill-advised because that is something that actually could be hacked. So things that you're going to need, you're definitely going to need a brokerage. And so your brokerage would kind of be like, so for instance, like I said, here locally, I work with BitBuy. I also love using Bybit online. I think it's a great, really intuitive platform. And that's basically think of it as, it's kind of like your PayPal, I guess, right? It's kind of like your PayPal because it allows you to accept funds in, right? So people can actually pay you into your brokerage, into your wallet there. And you can send it out and you can purchase and you can kind of do whatever you want. So it's your gateway into the marketplace, both in and out. But from there, you can actually hold the keys, right? So think of like almost like your PIN code to those assets.
Got it.
Off of the internet. And so there's a couple different cold wallets. There's two that most people use, and it's just advised to go the old school route. The same way that your grandfather told you that keep $100 in your pocket. And he's absolutely right. So it's just advised to kind of keep things on hand sometimes instead of online.
Right. And the markets that you go into, the ones that are you're keeping an eye on instead of investing, you're more trading. Those something that you consistently will look at every single day? You wake up in the morning, you get a message from the algorithms and you start looking at it every day? Or is it something that you're like once a week, twice a week, stuff like that?
Yeah, so I think it's the sort of thing that you can sort of do anytime. Personally, the way that I like to look at, like day trading is the same way that I would look at, we talked about like our, 75 hard trading, pillars. And it's just the sort of thing that, maybe every single day from 9 to 9:30, that's just my time. I go, I'm allowed to do, up to 3 trades, and whether they're great or not, we walk away when it's done.
Right.
And so you set some parameters, and that's part of the risk management strategy, right? It's like, you have to have some rules around what you're doing, because when you don't have that, it's really easy to become unhinged and emotionally volatile and be like, oh my God, those 3 trades closed really, really well, or this one is doing specifically well. I set my stop loss, or my take profit, but I'm actually going to stay in it longer.
Right.
So, for me personally, I think it really makes sense in the same way that I have, a morning routine. This is part of the morning routine. You go on every day at 9, you're done at 9:30, you walk away, win or lose.
I like that.
Right.
It's a good mindset to be in, because people become addicted to that loss. I remember being with a colleague, but on the stock side, who would panic when the market would crumble and I got to sell. But it's like, hold on, there's a whole mindset to this. Like you have to kind of like leave it, forget it. Like, what's your plan? You consume yourself and then you fail to understand what you're doing, so great strategy to walk away and be like, hey, I did my part. I'm done.
That's it. And like I said, never investing more than you're willing to lose, or never trading with more than you're willing to lose. You have a certain allocation. And so whether it's a dollar cost averaging thing, where it's, at the end of every single week, this is how much I'm buying in Bitcoin. It could be every single day, this is how much I'm putting into these trades, into these pairings, right? And so we have crypto pairings that you can trade in the same way that you can trade, like in the foreign exchange, right? In the Forex market, okay, I think that, the US dollar is going to do better than whatever. I don't know, Turkish lira, doesn't matter, right? And so we can play in that marketplace. You can do the exact same thing with crypto. It's just the currencies have different names. That's literally the difference. The currencies have different names, right? Because I know people think that it's like this kind of really foreign kind of alien thing, but it's not. It's really not in the market space works exactly the same way. So unless you would sit and, at the foreign exchange booth in an airport 24 hours a day and freak out and be like, oh my God, I just saw my more. Right? Like, you wouldn't do that. You would money and you would go and get your pina colada.
Yeah.
So you don't do that. I don't think you should be doing that with crypto as well. So for me, that makes sense, is to just have kind of like a set block of time. Your strategy is to go in with a certain amount of money, and hopefully you come out in the green. And if you don't, that's okay. You revisit it tomorrow, you walk away, because you understand the markets are always moving. There really is always money to be made.
Right.
Yeah.
And where does 2 questions. Where does Canada fall within this crypto world? and sorry, let's go with that one first, and then I'll get into the next one.
So in what respect are you talking about, like government regulation, for instance?
Just in the crypto world, like I know Bitcoin and a couple others were started out of the United States or even overseas, and all these companies that are, BitBuy and stuff like that. Are we creating more Canadian companies that are regulating this, or not regulating? I used the wrong term there, or making these brokerages Canadian owned or Canadian operated?
Yeah, so I know right now we're used to looking at things within our borders, right? But crypto is borderless.
Okay.
Right. So as Canadians, we definitely, use Canadian brokerages that are regulated by Canadian government, and that's kind of a big taxation piece. But the comfort is also in that when a brokerage is actually regulated and audited and scrutinized and all those sorts of things, it also ensures that the money that you are investing with them is protected. And I don't mean protected meaning that you're always going to turn an ROI. What I mean is that the brokerage isn't running away with your money.
Right.
You're not just giving it to like if you get a message online when somebody messages you on Facebook and they're like $75,000.
Yes.
I'm gonna make 3 times as much in crypto. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't send them your money. Right. But a platform like BitBuy is rigorously regulated. Okay. And so as a Canadian, I'm able to actually transfer my money in Canadian funds, which is convenient for me because, kind of sucks to have to lose on an exchange and then transaction fees on top of that. Right. They're completely transparent with their transaction fees, which I love because there are a lot of platforms that absolutely aren't. But once you actually get your money in to the brokerage and you start purchasing things like, Bitcoin or Ethereum or Cardano or Solana or any of them, you're part of a global marketplace now.
Right.
Right. And so, I know I think in the States, they're not able, I might be making this up, but I think they're not able to use Bybit. I think in Quebec, they're not able to use Bybit. And so some people use VPNs to get around it just because they really enjoy the platform. So there are some restrictions and regulations around, which brokerages or which platforms we're able to use depending on the country that you're from. Mm-hmm. Some countries obviously don't allow their citizens to participate in the crypto market at all. Right. But once you're in the marketplace, it really is a borderless space.
And some countries love it. El Salvador, are you familiar with what El Salvador is doing? Their president is all about Bitcoin. They have Bitcoin Beach. They want people to immigrate there, live there, and they'll give you Bitcoin. I think the first country in the world to be 110% in this direction where the others are all panicking. And for anybody who knows that part of Latin America, that country's gone through some rough times, but this president has changed it drastically. I've talked to from that country, and it's going to be a place to hang out. I think it's going to be a crypto hangout. Maybe that's where my villa will be, overlooking the Pacific. Right?
But doesn't it make sense to you? So think about when this whole Russia-Ukraine thing started. Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a hard-hitting bank run. We got to see it in social media. I don't know if anybody watches the news anymore, but I don't know.
I don't.
You definitely got to see there were just swarms of people running to bank machines trying to get their fiat out.
Yes.
And there was everybody kind of sitting back with their crypto going, cute.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Right? We're not doing that. And so, when they weren't able to access their fiat anymore, they essentially became disarmed and disabled as citizens and literally just as consumers in the market. And I'm not talking about going and buying things that kind of make the world go round. I'm talking about being able to feed your family. I'm talking about being able to heat your home.
Right.
So when you look at governments like El Salvador, it makes a heck of a lot of sense that they would be such early adopters in the space and look to really transition their economy into a crypto favored economy simply because of everything that they've gone through.
Yes.
And so I do think that
Digital Nomad? Are the three of us going? Digital Nomads? We
establish where the coffee's coming from.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but listen, it's interesting actually. With being nomadic, right? I mean, there's something kind of beautiful about that. The idea of, I'm not one for political globalism. I'm not in favor of political globalism. I definitely locking my front door at the end of the night. But as far as, being able to actually travel the world and transact with anybody anywhere and have that commonality between them. Like I keep bringing up being able to transact peer-to-peer. I mean, think about the absurdity of the way that we transact right now, right? Like if I want to send you money, I have to go through this intermediary that may or may not even approve the transaction. I have to ask them, and then I have to pay them a fee to give me permission to give you my money and for you to accept it. It's really as absurd as you wanting to shake my hand and me wanting to shake your hand, but
somebody's in the middle.
Right. I have to shake their hand and then they'll pass the shake on to you. Like, what?
But
the absurdity of that service. It's really kind of crazy, right?
And you also have to, like, I'll tell you a story. So we've recently opened up a business. We're opening up a franchise here in Toronto. We took money from one bank to deposit it into our business account at another bank. They wanted to charge us to take out our own money and bring it across the street to another bank. I said, you guys are ridiculous. So you're not charging me money to take my own money out of the bank to bring to another bank. They said, well,
and then they want to know, do you know who
no, it's not with me, it is.
Yeah, you're right, Dave.
Yeah, they want to charge you for moving your money from your left hand to your right hand.
Yeah, $45 to put it on a certified check piece of paper. $45 to put it on a piece of paper.
And then there'll be a hold on it too.
And that's what they said to me. So they go, oh, just so you know, there's going to be a hold for 7 days on your money. I said, no, there isn't. I said, but don't worry about it. I'll take it over with the other bank and let them deal with it.
Yeah. So, that's the whole thing is, it's crypto really gives us an opportunity in so many ways, whether it just be as individuals or as, industries, to be able to transact on our own terms.
Right.
On our own terms. And I hate to be, to drive fear, but I really do want people to just take a little bit of time and explore what this central bank digital currency is going to be. It is not government crypto. It is going to come with programmable parameters that could be ever changing. And that really, it pulls away the function, the beauty of crypto, right? That's the whole thing, that peer-to-peer, that, permission not required feature will be eliminated. And that's, you look at crypto as a utility, that's really what it is. That's what it is. So so where are we going?
El Salvador. And then we'll jump over to Costa Rica for the coffee, and then we'll go back to visit.
Yeah. But if I can plug it, we actually have a really, really cool event coming up on May 28th. So it's right around the corner. And if anybody, is here in the GTA listening, it's going to be in Woodbridge. It's called Euphoria. And it's the first time that, as a team, we're actually all going to be able to get together live, face-to-face. And this is going to be quite possibly the largest financial education convention that's going to be happening. Or at least it's happened in a really long time. Thank you, pandemic. And we're going to be talking about everything. We're going to be talking about, Forex. We're going to be talking about stocks. We're going to be talking about crypto, and we're talking about NFTs. I know there's still a lot of misunderstandings.
We'll have to have you back for part 2. NFTs and,
I'll touch upon them briefly though, because it's actually a really, really simple concept. It's far more than apes, but we're going to be teaching all of that. But then additionally, networking, social selling, and how to actually create, additional streams of income, even just by sharing these opportunities with people that So, if your listeners are into entrepreneurship, which I know that they definitely are, if they're into, diversification and just kind of trying new things on for size and hopefully creating more financial freedom for themselves, it's coming, like I said, May 28th. It's going to be, we're all going to be meeting together at noon. It's going to be a massive event and just so much to learn. So it might be the perfect place to start leveraging the expertise of the experts. Then they can, reach out to me personally if they want a discount code for the event. And I will definitely see everybody there.
Amazing. Yeah. I like that. We will definitely put some links when we put it up on Instagram for sure.
Awesome. But about NFTs.
Yes. Which ape should we buy?
Right. And this is the whole thing. If you don't know which ape to buy, and I do not know which ape to buy, we've all been priced out of that.
We'll just make our own apes. I'm going to put my dogs as a NFT. That's next.
Well, this is the whole thing, right? Is literally anything can be an NFT, right?
That's right.
I mean, it's a non-fungible token, which basically I like to think of it as a fuckable with token, because you can't, that's what it is, right? Non-fungible. What does fungible mean, right?
Yeah.
Call it what it is, but it's essentially a unique asset. It's a unique asset. So whereas here we got these 2 pencils, right? If I've got these 2, you don't care which one you get. They're exactly the same, right? They have the exact same value. There's nothing unique about either one. Whereas if this one was an actual NFT, right, it has special, like kind of like unique features. It might come with membership to certain clubs that would give you certain privileges. I mean, there's NFTs right now that literally give you access to restaurants that people who don't have the NFTs can't get into.
Really?
But the thing is, yeah, Gary Vee. So I know everybody here knows who Gary Vaynerchuk is.
Yeah.
And so he actually has a restaurant. I don't know if it's open yet. It might be open. It's in New York, and it's a seafood restaurant. And to be able to get in there, you have to have the NFT that allows you access.
Wow.
And so, there are a lot of benefits that come with owning NFTs, obviously depending on the project, they're all different. But without even knowing which one to get into, if you do understand that for the most part, they're being built on the Ethereum platform.
Okay.
And that Ethereum has its own coin,
Right.
then getting into Ethereum as crypto is your way of saying, I understand that the NFT market is growing. I therefore understand that the scaffolding of it, the underpinning, the architecture being is growing. And so, I'm going to take advantage of that. It's kind of like I like to compare it to, maybe investing in commodities, the commodity of wheat, as opposed to a specific type of bread. You may or may not like Wonder Bread. You might prefer white. You might prefer brown. But that if you're investing in wheat, you're going to do fine because everybody loves carbs.
Right.
You might not know which NFT to get, but you invest in the actual machine that's holding it all together. Ethereum.
Got it.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense.
Any tips? That's one pro tip.
That's a good one. One.
Right?
We'll forward you some Bitcoin. That was a good tip.
GM. Yeah. And the Nigerian prince.
That's right.
Well, Simone, I think this has been an incredible recording, and I don't even need to ask Dave. We're going to have her back. I think there's so much more that needs to be discussed, to look into. And I think for those who are hesitant on the space, we don't hesitate buying a cell phone from Apple or Samsung at like $800 to $900, and you're questioning maybe $50 once a week to put into Bitcoin. Like, let's get our priorities straight. So for those who are hesitant, look at it like that. And where can we find you, Simone? Where can people locate you on the internet, social media, LinkedIn? Where are you? Let the listeners know.
Yeah. So listen, like I said, I do have a lot going on in my life between, 5 kids, several businesses, all the different things that I do. So I tend to stick to just one social media platform.
And that's okay.
Listen, I tried them all. I tried to do Facebook and Twitter.
It's too much.
And LinkedIn. It's a lot. It's a lot. So, my hat's off to the people who rock all the platforms. I am on Instagram.
Perfect.
I personally think it's where the cool kids hang out. So, your listeners are cool people. They should see me there. And it's Simone, Maman _. Simone spelled Simon with an E. Maman, like mother in French, MAMAN, and then an underscore because somebody took my name.
Of course.
So,
It's okay. We'll put that in the show notes. It'll be on all the audio, video platforms.
I appreciate that.
For those who are listening to the audio, the video may be slightly delayed in release, but you'll see it all in the description notes. And Dave, I think, you have done great. You found our expert. Our listeners wanted somebody in the space, and we are honored to have you here. So
a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you very much, Simone.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hats off to you to getting into this industry and getting knowledgeable.
Listen, it's something that we all have the opportunity to do. Like I said, nobody's in school right now getting, I'm going to school for crypto. Like nobody's doing that, right? Yeah. So the information is fortunately pretty much free. It's all available online. I definitely suggest just pick, 1 or 2 seemingly vetted influencers, and definitely maybe even get involved in practice trading. You can definitely use a demo account. You can use Monopoly money and just start applying some strategies and kind of see where it lands you. But it's a really important skill set to invest in. Before you're even investing money in the markets, invest in acquiring this new skill because it is going to pay out. It definitely will. And it's a short learning curve. Right? It doesn't have to be complicated, especially since we have so many different mechanisms to support us in those initial trades and maybe in our entire, kind of like investing strategy. So whether it be experts, whether it be, AI, and we use that for everything, right? So I'm not even, this is actually my friend's home office because my house is hella loud. And I had to do a school drop off, so I wasn't sure exactly how to route myself here. So, I used artificial intelligence to get me here, right? I use maps online.
That's great.
We do it all the time. I get that it's a little bit scarier because it has to do with money, but you go slow, go smart. We're all going to be okay.
Great.
And And you're doing it. And for our listeners, we're an educational program, right? We're not telling you what to do. There's our disclaimer. We are an educational program. It's very important that you continue to do your research, you find those experts, and you start to use those monopoly demo type programs if this does interest you. In closing, Dave, where can our listeners find you if you're joining the Making Waves Mindset show for the first time?
I am on Instagram, David A. Moskowitz, and LinkedIn.
And you can find yours truly, Richard DiBiase, on Instagram and LinkedIn. As usual, Dave.
Yes, as we all say, dream bigger, take action.
And make waves in your life. We'll talk to you on our next episode.